Word of the incident spread like wildfire, igniting a firestorm of conversation across social media platforms. Within hours, videos of the confrontation circulated, showcasing Mia's powerful response to Robert Sinclair's insult. The hashtags #RespectWaitStaff and #StandWithMia began trending within the hour, resonating with individuals who were all too familiar with the disrespect faced by service workers. Mia's courage struck a chord, galvanizing a movement that highlighted the importance of respect in all professions, particularly those often overlooked or taken for granted. People began sharing their own stories of facing similar disrespect in their jobs, flooding timelines with personal anecdotes and powerful testimonials. Baristas, cashiers, waiters, and retail workers from all walks of life joined the conversation, each adding their voice to a chorus demanding dignity and recognition for essential laborers. The momentum was palpable as the narrative transformed from a single confrontation in a diner to a national discussion on the treatment of service industry employees. As the media buzz intensified, it wasn't only the public that took notice. The business world quickly reacted, too. Mia's story reached the very clients and partners with whom Robert Sinclair was set to negotiate that afternoon. They were prominent investors, known for their commitment to ethical business practices and social responsibility. As news of the incident filtered through to them, their reactions were swift and critical. Many of these clients and partners were already skeptical of Robert's endorsements and values. They felt that his treatment of Mia reflected a larger issue of disconnect from the realities faced by everyday workers, which could tarnish their own reputations by association. The more they learned about the incident, the more they questioned their connections with him. What was once seen as a lucrative deal for Robert began to unravel in real time, revealing cracks in his carefully constructed image. In his boardroom, Robert's demeanor shifted drastically. Where he once sat confidently, exuding charisma and self-importance, he now felt the weight of judgment pressing down on him. His team, filled with ambitious executives ready for a big payday, suddenly grew hesitant, their excitement dampened by the backlash against their CEO. The tone of discussions changed. Whispers of uncertainty replaced enthusiasm. Projects that had previously been riding high on their anticipated success now faced the threat of cancellation as stakeholders voiced their concerns. Desperate to regain control, Robert attempted to defend himself by issuing a public statement. He expressed regret for how the situation had unfolded and claimed that the comments were not reflective of his true character. However, many saw this as a desperate attempt to save face, lacking genuine accountability. The public perceived it as empty rhetoric, and the more he tried to spin the narrative, the deeper he sank into a hole of controversy. Mia, on the other hand, was receiving an outpouring of support. Advocacy groups reached out, asking if she would be willing to speak on their platforms, share her story, and using her newfound voice to empower others. The diner, once a corner shop, became an emblem of change, a beacon of hope for anyone who felt marginalized or devalued in their job. As Robert watched his empire teeter on the brink of collapse, he realized that his moment of arrogance had not only cost him respect, but also potential financial ruin. The $200 million deal, once assured, slipped further from his grasp, leaving him to confront the reality that true success is built on more than just financial profit. It's built on integrity, respect, and the ability to connect with people on a human level. As the movement continued to grow, it became clear Mia's bravery was more than a call to respect. It was a powerful reminder that how we treat each other in our everyday lives matters, resonating far beyond a single encounter in a diner. Over the following days, Robert Sinclair found himself under an immense spotlight, one he had never anticipated and certainly never welcomed. News headlines blared his unfortunate comments, linking him irrevocably to a growing narrative that was unraveling around Mia. As her story rose to prominence, empowering countless individuals and drawing attention to issues of respect and dignity in the workplace, Robert was forced to confront the full gravity of his actions. The once untouchable CEO quickly learned that in the high-stakes world of business, Reputation is everything, and a moment of thoughtless arrogance can have catastrophic consequences. As reporters peppered him with questions, Robert could feel the pressure mounting. His initial bravado began to crumble beneath the weight of public scrutiny. Commentary flooded social media, with individuals recounting their own experiences of disrespect in various professions. Mia had struck a chord, galvanizing a movement that resonated with people from all walks of life. The incident in the diner was no longer just about a wealthy executive's outburst. It had morphed into a national conversation about racial inequality, the importance of respect in employment, and the rights of service workers, topics that were largely ignored in corporate discourse. In an attempt to regain control of the narrative, Robert issued a public apology, which he hoped would quell the rising tide of criticism. However, the apology fell flat, perceived by many as hollow and insincere. He failed to grasp the deeper impact of his words, not just on Mia, but on the countless individuals who endured daily disrespect in their roles and whose contributions to society often go unnoticed. His carefully crafted statement lacked genuine empathy and accountability, leading many to view it as a mere PR tactic rather than a heartfelt acknowledgement of his wrongdoing. As backlash intensified, several of Robert's business partners began to reconsider their affiliations with him. Many investors expressed disappointment, citing his comments as indicative of a broader insensitivity to social issues. What was once seen as a promising $200 million deal began to unravel swiftly, with partners questioning their association with a man who seemed so detached from the realities faced by ordinary workers. Investor calls turned into heated discussions about ethics and values, and whispers circulated about the possibility of cutting ties with his firm, a devastating development for Robert, who had built his empire on relationships and trust. Mia, in contrast, found herself propelled further into the spotlight. She had become a symbol of resilience and strength, speaking out for those who had long been marginalized. Invitations for interviews flooded in, and she was asked to appear on several talk shows. Her message resonated deeply, urging individuals to recognize the vital role service workers play in society and to treat everyone with dignity, regardless of their job title. As Robert grappled with the fallout of his careless remark, he watched helplessly as Mia's story garnered national attention. Online platforms buzzed with discussions of respect in the workplace, and calls for policy changes aimed at improving conditions for service workers emerged. Advocacy groups rallied around the hashtag #RespectWaitstaff movement, pushing for better treatment and pay for workers in the service industry. The distance between Robert and the values of empathy, respect, and inclusivity became increasingly apparent. As he navigated the tumultuous waters of regret and public outcry, he realized that the world had shifted around him, and he was being left behind. The incident was no longer just about salvaging a business deal. It was part of a broader reckoning about acknowledgement and respect within society. Faced with the glaring reality that his identity as a successful CEO was crumbling under the pressure of public opinion, Robert was forced to reconsider who he had become and what kind of leader he truly wanted to be. As he stepped back from the precipice of notoriety, it became clear that this moment of reckoning might provide him with the opportunity to grow, if he could learn from the lesson Mia had unwittingly taught him about the profound impact of words and the importance of humanity in the business world. Meanwhile, Mia's life took an unexpected turn as she stepped into the spotlight following the viral incident in the diner. What had begun as a challenging moment of confrontation transformed into a powerful opportunity for advocacy and change. Embracing her newfound voice, Mia quickly became a national figure, standing up for the millions of service workers whose dignity and respect were often ignored. She recognized that her moment of courage resonated deeply with others who had faced similar disrespect and systemic inequalities in the workplace. Determined to channel this momentum, Mia launched a social media campaign titled #RespectWaitstaff, aimed explicitly at raising awareness about the dignity of all workers, particularly those in service roles. Using her platform, she shared stories of hardship and perseverance from fellow waitstaff and service employees, highlighting their contributions to everyday life. Her engaging posts, empowering messages, and calls to action garnered tremendous support, and soon, her campaign expanded beyond a hashtag. It turned into a movement, with people across the country sharing their experiences and demanding fair treatment. As Mia's message spread, companies began to take notice. Many realized that the public sentiment was shifting, emphasizing the importance of respect, inclusion, and fairness in workplaces across the nation. Organizations began to examine their policies regarding employee treatment and launched initiatives to create more equitable environments. Some restaurants and businesses introduced training programs aimed at fostering respect and understanding among employees, while others publicly committed to better wages and working conditions. Amidst this sea of change, an unexpected opportunity for reconciliation emerged. Robert Sinclair, the CEO whose careless comments had sparked the dialogue, reached out to Mia. His earlier arrogance had faded, replaced by a desire for redemption. In his message, he not only offered an apology, but also sought to partner with her on initiatives that promoted respect and diversity in the workplace. He proposed collaborating on a series of programs aimed at educating business leaders about the importance of valuing all employees, regardless of their position. While Mia initially met this proposition with skepticism, she also recognized the potential for real change. She knew that true progress often comes when people are willing to listen and learn from their mistakes. After much contemplation, Mia agreed to meet with Robert, hoping to foster a genuine dialogue that could lead to positive improvements within the business world. Her decision was a testament to her belief in the power of forgiveness and the potential for individuals to grow from their mistakes. Their meeting turned out to be an eye-opening experience for both. Robert listened intently as Mia shared her experiences and the struggles many service workers face daily. He was struck by her stories and came to understand the implications of his earlier remarks, not just on Mia, but on countless individuals whose lives were deeply affected by a lack of respect. As they collaborated, they discovered common ground and forged a partnership founded on the principles of respect, equity, and understanding. They launched campaigns aimed at encouraging businesses to adopt ethical practices that prioritize the treatment of every employee. Together, they worked on community programs designed to educate future leaders about inclusivity in the workplace. Ultimately, this story serves as a powerful reminder of the profound impact our words can have. It illustrates how the simplest encounters, the ones we might brush aside, can become catalysts for change, sparking movements that resonate far beyond a single moment. In a world where profits often overshadow people, Mia's unwavering spirit transformed a moment of disgrace into a beacon of hope, igniting a rallying cry for respect and equality. As we conclude, let us carry forward the lesson learned from this impactful narrative. Respect transcends professions, and every individual deserves kindness, regardless of their job title. Whether we are CEOs, waitstaff, or anyone in between, treating each other with dignity is fundamental to building a better, more just society. Mia's journey reminds us that change is possible when we stand up for what is right, fostering a culture of respect that uplifts us all. In a bustling city filled with dreams and ambition, there was a millionaire CEO known for his impressive portfolio and high-stakes business deals. This man, Robert Sinclair, became a figure of fascination and envy in the financial world, often celebrated for his dominance in the tech industry. Robert's life was a whirlwind of meetings, jet-setting to global conferences, and mingling with the influential elite. He strutted through life with an almost arrogant self-assurance, often oblivious to the world outside his exclusive circle of wealth and privilege. On a particularly hectic afternoon, feeling the weight of an impending business meeting that could secure a $200 million deal, Robert decided to stop by a quaint diner nestled in a quieter part of the city. It was a place filled with character, where the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sizzle of bacon on the grill. The diner exuded warmth and a sense of community, a stark contrast to Robert's high-flying lifestyle, a detail he paid little mind to as he entered. As Robert settled into a booth, a young black waitress approached his table with a bright smile. Her name was Mia, and she embodied resilience and grace. Having worked at the diner for several years, Mia had become a beloved fixture, known for her infectious energy despite the challenges life threw her way. As a single mother supporting her family, she balanced her work with caring for her young daughter, often sacrificing her own needs for the sake of her child. With genuine enthusiasm, Mia took Robert's order, thoughtfully suggesting a few popular dishes. She made small talk, hoping to make his dining experience enjoyable and perhaps leave an impression on someone with his power and influence. Despite her friendliness and professionalism, Robert barely registered her presence, his mind preoccupied with business deals and profits. He glanced at her briefly, then back to his phone, where stock prices whipped across the screen. What transpired next would change everything. In a moment of unguarded thoughtlessness, Robert mistook Mia's attentiveness for naivety. When she kindly suggested he try the special of the day, a delectable homemade pot pie, he sneered dismissively. "What do you know about fine dining? You're just a waitress." The hurtful comment hung in the air like a dark cloud, thickening the atmosphere in the diner. Mia, taken aback for a moment, felt the sting of his words. Her heart sank. A mix of shock and outrage flared within her. Here was a man who had likely forgotten the value of hard work and humility. But instead of crumbling under the weight of his insult, Mia found her voice. "I may be a waitress, but I'm not stupid," she replied, her voice firm and unwavering. "I understand good food and hard work. My job doesn't define my intelligence or worth." The power dynamics inside that small diner shifted dramatically. Other patrons, initially quiet observers, began to murmur, their eyes on the unfolding confrontation. Mia's courage resonated, transforming disbelief into support. The laughter and chatter faded as people rallied behind her, expressing their discontent with Robert's arrogance. In that moment, as Mia stood tall, defiance radiating from her, the CEO confronted not just a waitress, but the systemic disregard for individuals in service roles. What could have been a fleeting moment of rudeness for Robert became an awakening, exposing him to the uncomfortable truth about how easily he had fallen into arrogance. The incident would ripple far beyond this diner, igniting a consciousness about respect, dignity, and the often overlooked contributions of workers like Mia. Little did Robert know, he was about to lose more than just a meal. He was on the brink of losing everything he considered valuable. The air in the diner became electric with tension following Robert Sinclair's insulting remark. Gasps rippled through the small space, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Mia stood frozen, the shock and hurt reflected in her eyes. In that instant, she felt the weight of the moment. Everything she had worked for, every struggle, every sacrifice she had made for her daughter and herself. Yet, instead of breaking down, something ignited within her, a flame of resilience and determination. Drawing upon her strength and the support of her community, Mia made a choice that would forever change the course of her day, and perhaps her life. As emotions surged through her, she took a breath, stood tall, and looked Robert squarely in the eye. "I may be a waitress, but I'm not stupid," she declared, her voice steady and firm, cutting through the tension like a knife. "My job doesn't define my intelligence or worth." Her words struck a chord, not just with Robert, but with everyone present. Mia's heartfelt response resonated within the hearts of the diners, igniting a wave of empathy and admiration. The patrons, initially hesitant, began to rally behind her. Whispers of support bubbled up amongst them, people nodding in agreement, murmurs of "you tell him," and "exactly," filling the air. Each word spread like wildfire, empowering Mia further, turning her isolated confrontation into a collective stand for dignity and respect. The atmosphere transformed dramatically. The diner, which had just been a casual eatery, became a battleground for respect and the dignity of work. The CEO, initially taken aback by Mia's fierce response, suddenly found himself cornered by a united front. The patrons who had started as mere observers to his arrogance now viewed the scene as a reflection of broader societal issues. The often overlooked struggles of service workers who contribute so much yet are treated with disdain. Robert's bravado swiftly melted away as the realization set in. He had not only insulted Mia, a dedicated worker, but had also unveiled the disconnect he had from the very people whose hard work enabled his success. They were the ones who kept society running smoothly while he moved in his high-priced circles, sealed away from the realities of everyday life. The power dynamic, once in his favor, had shifted dramatically. It was no longer just about a rich CEO dining at a diner. It was about a woman standing up for herself, and every hardworking individual pushed down by condescension and overlooked by privilege. Feeling the mounting pressure, Robert nervously glanced around, hoping to regain some semblance of control over the situation. He opened his mouth, but found words escaping him, choked back by the growing sentiment in the room. The patrons' gazes were unwavering, many of them whispering encouragement to Mia, reinforcing her courage. As voices rose in unity, Robert began to understand that the shockwave of his comment had reverberated far beyond his own ego. It had touched a fundamental truth about respect and dignity. Mia's moment of bravery was about more than just her. It symbolized a deep-seated frustration shared by many. It became a voice for those who felt belittled in their jobs, dismissed in their roles, and marginalized in society. It was a reminder that every profession has value and that every individual, regardless of their title or station, deserves to be treated with respect. As the scene unfolded, the diner felt alive with energy, a stark contrast to the complacent environment where arrogance often thrived. The patrons were no longer just customers. They were allies, standing firm against injustice. And as Mia stood boldly in her truth, a ripple effect began. One that would carry her story beyond the diner and into the hearts of those who needed to hear it. Little did they know, this moment of empowerment was just the beginning of a much larger conversation that would unfold, challenging the status quo and demanding respect for all.